summer, I was kind of in the same position that, everyone was in. I was in my home feeling scared and kind of hopeless about what the future held as far as the pandemic was concerned. And for me, at times whenever I'm feeling helpless and hopeless, the most important thing that I can do to kind of get myself out of that is to take action. What can I do to make the situation better? And so for me, I was hearing on the news that there were vaccines coming, that these companies were manufacturing, and that they were doing clinical research trials, and that they needed participants. And I heard that there was a study happening actually here in Little Rock at Baptist. And I thought to myself, somebody should really do that. And then it kind of occurred to me, like, well, I'm the somebody that should do it. I'm, a relatively young, healthy individual, and, at any time in history that there has been, something where we need medical advances, it really relies on people to have empathy and think about, well, I'll probably be fine, but what about those people that won't be fine? And I could be the tip of the spear on making this thing better for my loved ones and for the people that we work with who might not be fine if they got COVID. So that's why I took it upon myself to reach out to Baptist and join the Moderna clinical trial. So for the Moderna trial, I had to go into Baptist, and I had a full extensive physical where they went through, every bit of my medical history, and I had a physical, and I had blood work taken that first day to make sure that I hadn't had COVID and didn't know it. And so once I went through all that, I was accepted into the trial, and I went back a few weeks later and had my first injection. At the time, the study was blinded, so I wasn't sure if I was getting the actual vaccine or a placebo. And then went back a month later and had another either vaccine or placebo. I didn't know at the time. And through this, I was getting calls every week asking me about my status, asking me about any changes in my medical state. And I had to do journal entries about how I was feeling every day and kind of keep up with that. And through this process, every time I went, I was getting blood draws, and they were monitoring to make sure I had antibodies and all that kind of thing. So it was a very thorough, in-depth process. They kind of left no stone unturned. And so I felt really confident that, it was a good study, and I was really happy to participate in it. And not only that, it was nice to kind of see the nurses and doctors that were working on this, and, hearing them talk about how this is the most important thing they've ever worked on in their life, and they're so, happy to be doing their part to, kind of get these vaccines to the people who need them the most. So I think it was a really cool opportunity to not only be able to participate in something that, is hopefully going to have far-reaching benefits to protecting people in our society that really need it, but kind of also getting to see the people behind the process that were really making it possible. So, I'm so happy that I was able to do my part. And at this point, it's kind of serendipitous for me, because the drug that I was in the study for, the Moderna one, is now the one that my mom and dad and my great aunt and uncle, who are like my grandparents, have been vaccinated with. So being able to have played a part in protecting them it's just been huge for me. To anyone who might be skeptical about getting the COVID vaccine, I would really encourage you to do your research. People like I volunteered, for research trials, so there is research out there, and while we may not know everything, the studies that are being done are very thorough. The people who are participating in the studies, they're just like you, they're your co-workers. And so really consider it. And I think the most important thing that you can think about is, I might be fine, but what about those people who aren't fine? You know, we work at Easterseals. No one has to explain to us why we should care about other people and their safety. So, you know, when something like this comes around and we can be on the forefront of protecting those that we love and those that we care for, you know, we need to do it. We're called to do it. So, you know, based on my experience having the vaccine and being a little bit further out from it than the average person, you know, I've had no negative health issues with it. And so I would definitely encourage you whenever it's your turn to get the vaccine.